Good evening, everyone. I'm Molly. I'm the Executive Director here at the RAL National Association. I'm here with Kevin and Jamie from Roundbox Equity. And so tonight they're going to be talking to you about I'm sure some projects that they're working on right now, how they came to be the organization they are today, and how they may help you invest in residential assisted living. So if you have questions throughout the presentation, you can look over in your control panel on the right-hand side of your screen. Well, hopefully it's on the right-hand side of your screen, in the control panel at some point on your screen, and you can go down to the questions tab and ask questions throughout the presentation. If you have some kind of technical difficulty, I'll try and help you. Otherwise, remember, I'll be sending the recording tomorrow. And then Kevin and Jamie will answer questions at the end. And just before they end, they'll probably say something like, hey, we're wrapping up, so please type in your questions. They'll give you a little bit of time to get those typed in, and then we can answer everything at the end. So Jamie, thank you so much. I'll let you take things away and we'll get started.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having us. It's an honor to be here. And what I want to do is just share a quick video with you guys. It's kind of an introduction to us and the team. And let me get that started here, and I'll jump back on and share even more with you right afterwards. So here we go.
Hello, it's Gene Guarino, the founder of the AL family, announcing Roundbox Equity. You know, until now, finding great deals, vetting those deals, and having access to them was a challenge. Roundbox Equity is solving that problem. The two co-founders, starting with Mr. Jamie Robinson, with his expertise in not only real estate, but as an owner and an operator of these homes, remotely operating them and his expertise there, as well as raising capital. And then Mr. Kevin Haught. You know him as the director of Family Legacy Homes, but with his law enforcement background and as a senior anti-money laundering investigator for Chase and Bank of America and many other big institutions, he has a skill set second to none. Bringing those two together so they can find those deals, vet those deals, and give us access to them, well, that's what Roundbox Equity is all about. I'm an investor myself. They invited me to be a part of that company. I understand the need now and the need that is coming and growing for the next 10 and 20 years when it comes to residential assisted living. And for those of us who have been wanting a vehicle that we can confidently put our money in, this is it. If you would like to discover if this is the right investment for you and what type of investor you are, we have an assessment for you. We'd like to invite you to take that. Go ahead and click the link below to find out and discover if this is the best and right investment for you at this time, in addition to learn more about Roundbox Equity. Always remember to do good and do well.
And for everyone that's watching, I went ahead and put that link in the chat. So if you want to know what link Gene was just mentioning, that link is in the chat. Jamie, you can go ahead and show your presentation now. It should be in that drop-down menu under your show button.
You should see it right now. Do you not?
Not yet. There you go. Perfect.
Okay, great. All right. Thanks so much. Yeah. All right, well, let's just dive right into it. I just wanted to show you guys that, just to kind of give you a brief introduction of who we are and what we do. But what I want to do is really just kind of show you guys what is it, assisted living, what's happening now, what's going on in the future, and what are some opportunities you definitely don't want to miss out on. So this is kind of the big picture here. Today, healthcare, everything is changing right now. As we all know, the generation before us, the baby boomers and ahead of them, it's accelerating at an all-time high. And what's happened is there's a massive vacuum there. So there's a massive shortage of beds. And one thing that we found with COVID, there's actually a massive shortage of detail-oriented, care-oriented homes that these larger facilities just haven't been able to do. The government, the large facilities, they've tried really hard, but they just can't really compete with us on the same level. And really, guys, what it comes down to is when you have 20, 25, 30 residents for one caregiver, you just can't give the one-on-one care that people need. And you also really can't keep them safe. In this time of a pandemic, it becomes really hard to protect your residents from communicable diseases. Now, this is, COVID is the most popular one right now, but every year there's flus, there's stomach bugs, there's people die of all of these things every single year. And we've seen this in our own businesses, our own homes, where our competitors will have, massive, they'll have a big, like a stomach bug will sweep through the population, and it will end up, people die from those things. This pneumonia starts and things like that. We've noticed that we don't have as many of those problems. Obviously, everybody's going to get sick from time to time, but in one of our smaller homes, we may have 8 to 10 employees, where our competitor right down the street, they may have 50, 75, 100 employees that are walking in the door and from room to room, and they're spreading those things from one place to the other. So they're basically just not set up for the challenges that we're seeing as of today. And as far as Roundbox Equity, we basically created Roundbox Equity to provide solutions, and these 3 solutions I'm going to go over with you in just a minute. So when we talk about the world's changing, really, what are we talking about? Longevity, right? So we're living longer than we used to. A lot of that's due to healthcare. So our healthcare, especially in cardiovascular and treatments of, cancer and diabetes and things like that, where normally, so 50, 75 years ago, someone would die at the age of 70 or 72. Now it's really common for people to live in their 80s, 90s. I have a resident who just turned, I think she was 95 today. She's not even our oldest. So we see a lot of people just living much, much longer. And along with that, so another thing that kind of develops is cognitive issues. So if you live long enough, eventually, your primary organ of your body is your brain, right? Will eventually start to deteriorate. So at some point, you will start experiencing cognitive decline. And this is sort of a new frontier. This is a new thing that we're dealing with as a community in the assisted living and memory care community that they haven't dealt with before now, because people just didn't really live that long. And now COVID, wow, okay, so it's come on the screen, onto the scene. It's really shaken things up, and especially in your larger, more institutional settings. I know for us and in our homes, we haven't really had that big of a problem with it. We're able to contain it much easier. But as far as the overall setting, a lot of people come to realize in the last 12 months that living with 100 other people is not always a good thing, right? So that's really shaking up the industry right now. And the other one is really 2-income families. So 50, 75 years ago, it was very common for one person to work outside of the home, the other one to work inside the home, taking care of children, and I guess what they call a domestic engineer, right? So they stay at home. But part of that was when they had aging family members, their parents, it was traditional they would take care of them at home unless their needs were, far outside of the capabilities of that person. It was most common to take care of them at home. But with the way the economy has gone, and just I guess our entire culture has moved towards most people or most families, both and it takes both income earners to keep it all afloat. So that's really changed, I guess, the landscape of the market. And look, in anything else, there's going to be winners, there's going to be losers. Okay, and ignoring this is going to basically, you're going to miss opportunities, and you're going to see a lot of failure. So even if you have one of the best players in the multifamily space, right? If they have a bad deal, a bad property, it doesn't matter how great they are. It's still not going to work out, So I think that understanding and working with a team that truly understands the market, understands where things are going, is incredibly important. Like I always say, I bet on the jockey, not on the horse, right? But the jockey has to choose the right horse. That's a big part of it. So working with the right team is incredibly important. So just to say that, hey, I invest in senior housing or whatever, the team that you're doing that with is going to make a big difference in your outcome there. So what does the next 15 and plus years look like? So one of these things that always just shocks me with this slide is the over 65 population have tripled since when I was a kid in 1980s to 2030. I mean, that's absolutely mind blowing. One thing I did years and years ago as a financial advisor, one thing that we noticed is that, I went back over the history of the United States since the baby boom kind of started. And, our entire economy has followed this one generation. So if you think back to, microwave dinners, and then you have fast food, McDonald's comes out of convenience, and people are traveling, the Ford Mustang, and you continue to follow this generation up through. You have the McMansions of the late 80s and 90s, where these people wanted massive mansions, and now their needs have changed. If you look at the landscape now in the real estate market, people aren't buying these huge, 5,000-6,000 square foot homes. People my age and around there, they want 3-bedroom houses. They don't want a huge, massive place. So what these people need now is they need care. They need one-on-one care, and they're very particular about how they're going to receive that. So what may have passed 10, 15 years ago is not gonna cut it in the next 15 years. You have got to be cutting edge. You've got to be on the forefront of this industry if you want to keep up. The rest are going to fail. They're going to die out. And you guys are already seeing that now, and you're going to see that going into the future. These big boxes, they're struggling. There's an exodus right now. They're hemorrhaging residents, and they're all lining up and getting on our waiting list to get into our residential care homes. So these are just some more stats on just showing you the sheer number of people who are moving over. I love this one. By 2050, there'll be almost 84 million people over 65 years old. I mean, that's double from 2012. That's absolutely just shocking. Older adults, I mean, they're going to outnumber children for the first time, and that's a little over 10 years from now. It's 13 years from now. Multiple conditions. This is another problem. 37 million baby boomers are going to manage multiple chronic conditions. What that means is a lot of times when you have more than one, so if you can have one chronic condition and you start having 2 and 3 and 4, that's when assisted living comes into play. These people are living longer. So it only makes sense that they're going to need more care. That's where the opportunity is for those of us who are wise enough and who are paying attention right now. If you have your eyes open, you'll see this thing happening. If you don't, it's going to pass you like everybody else. They say hindsight's 20/20, right? So people always, I wish I had bought that stock back when it was, I wish I had bought that Apple stock when it was $8 a share. It's easy to do that, but if what, people bought it when it was $8 a share. Kevin and I have a good friend that bought a lot of it, and he's doing really well. So that's the thing is you have to see one thing that always sticks out to me here. This slide, this is my Wayne Gretzky slide. I always think about this. He was a famous hockey player, and they would say, why are you so good? And his famous quote was, I go to where the puck is going to be. I don't go to where the puck is. I go to where it's going to be. And you have to see what's happening in the future, right? The writing is on the wall, guys. We just have to read it and look to the future. And this is exactly where it's going. So let's talk about COVID, right? So everybody to I guess, ignore the 800-pound gorilla in the room would be just crazy, right? So what's going to happen due to what we've been through over the last year? So what we're seeing is better healthcare. People are demanding, more thorough testing. They're demanding more thorough safety protocols, new standards, attention to detail. So families of our residents are saying, wait a minute, the norm is not good enough. These people moving out of these big facilities, I've had a couple of them move into our homes as we have an opening. And their biggest thing was they just don't, the reason why they left is they lost all confidence that the leadership at the facility where they were before, they had no control of what was going on. It was just chaos. But you know what? They're set up for chaos. There's no way to control that many people and control the inside of these things. There's no way to control the access for these diseases to spread. So what's the common thread? Here it is: change, improvements, and growth, right? So there's gonna be change. There's one thing I remember when I was a kid, my dad always told me, he said, the one thing that you can count on always being the same is that everything is going to change, no matter what it is in life. Your situation is gonna change. What you want and don't want is gonna change throughout life. It's the same way with this business as well. But if you embrace that and you implement those improvements, and you can actually achieve real growth, and that's really what's going to set us, those of us are here talking about this right now, apart from all of those people who are going to be sitting there with their mouth open, wondering, wow, what happened? I don't understand what, why are they so successful doing that? And we're still back here and we're failing. It's because we acknowledged it, we made those improvements, and we grew over time with it. So here's on the investment side, if this is a new opportunity, right? So like you said, yeah, I love this. Nothing more is more expensive than a missed opportunity, right? So that friend of ours, that Kevin and I, that was telling me about, he had bought all this stock. He actually bought a bunch of Apple stock and forgot about it. There were all of these other people were like, they were just kicking themselves because they had the same opportunity he did, but he knew that something was different with that startup company, and he did that. So I think that you have to really think about these things, and jump on them when they come. And really, there's with exponential growth, there's two options for investment. Okay, so there's basically an active where you're working with you're working with the seniors directly. So that means you're investing your time and your money in your operating homes, much like I do. And then there's also the passive investment element. So this is saying, hey, look, I'm busy. I don't maybe just don't want to do that. Then the other option is to passively invest with one of these operators. I highly encourage everybody listening to this right now. You need to be on one of those sides. One is not any better than the other. They're just different. But I can tell you that if you're going to participate, those are the two ways that there are to participate. And I highly encourage you to take action today, man. You've got to make the decision. You've got to see this thing for, hey, look, if I don't take action on this, it's going to happen. These people are there. These people are aging. These people need help. It's just up to you whether you're going to acknowledge it and take advantage of it. So I alluded to earlier, we really solved three problems with Roundbox Equity. So what we are doing is we're implementing these strategies in our own businesses to accept the change, right? So we don't stick our heads in the sand and hopefully that passes and everything will go back to, the good old days and the way it was. What we do is we just go ahead and face the music, lean into the wind, and we help these people in our own projects. So Roundbox Equity, we do raise capital for our own deal, our own homes. I have homes over in Georgia. Gene is also a partner with us at Roundbox. He has, I think, 6 homes now in Arizona, and we also invest in homes all over the country. So that's one thing that we do is work in our own businesses and our own projects. The other is we partner with REL operators that need advisory and capital partners. Guys, there's no reason to go it on your own if if the deal makes sense and it's something that you need and that works with us as well. We can partner with you, help you walk through the process, kind of hitch your wagon to ours to be sure that it's it's going in the path to success. And also part of that is bringing in capital to those deals. A lot of times, with my experience through the academy, we would see, I'd see a lot of deals that were just really awesome sponsors and they're in really great markets. And they would end up, for one reason, for basically a lack of funding, they didn't have access to capital. The projects wouldn't happen. And man, that hurts me on a personal level because, something about me. So the reason why I started doing this is I lost my grandmother back in 2012. She was in a really nice place out in Texas, best place we could find. It was $7,000-8,000 a month. She had some cognitive issues, very independent woman, but really just needed more help. And, we realized that she wasn't able to manage her own medications anymore, and it wasn't safe for her to be at home. But we moved her in there, and over a period of time, we realized that those dollars didn't equal great care. Those dollars just made us feel good because, there's a couple of Olympic-sized swimming pools, and there's fancy chandeliers and those things. But the reality of it is my grandmother fell down in her bathroom one night around 10:30, 11 o'clock. The caregiver taking care of her had 29 other residents on her wing, 29 residents besides my grandmother to take care of. And there was one of those stomach bugs that are kind of always going around on the other end of the wing. And the girl just didn't make it to her room. Well, my grandmother laid there by herself on the floor for almost 7 hours until the nurse found her the next morning when she was coming around to pass meds. Unfortunately, she went to the hospital and she had a brain bleed. And the doctor said, "Hey, look, you know, if we would have just gotten to her 2, 3, 4 hours earlier, we could have relieved this, and she would be back at home and recover, basically with 100% recovery. But due to the swelling in her brain, she's now brain dead. There's nothing. Their damage has been done. So I lost my grandma. My family lost, a big part of our lives because of just the way these things are structured. So when I'm partnering with these folks, there's a bigger reason for me than just making money. I can make money 1,000 different ways. I'm here. The reason why we are here, and this is, I speak for myself, for Kevin, for Gene, for the entire family. We do this to make a difference in the world. We do this to do, like Gene always says, do good and do well. We want to do good for the community and do good for our seniors, give them the respect and dignity that they deserve, and we want to do well for ourselves. And I feel like that's a good thing to work for. And also the passive investment opportunity. A lot of you guys are probably sitting there and you're thinking, I don't want to do this 365 days a year. I don't want those phone calls, with those tough calls when somebody doesn't show up for work, or the other things that go along with running a business. So we're here to give you that opportunity to where you can invest alongside us in the same projects with the well-vetted out sponsors, with the cream of the crop. These are the best operators in the country. You get to invest in their projects. So instead of just going out aimlessly investing in deals that may or may not go, obviously there's no guarantees in life. You never know that nothing's ever 100%, 100% that it's always going to work out. But I can tell you that, we invest in these projects ourselves, and we invite you as a passive investor to invest alongside us to do that. So like I said, she put the link in the chat there. You just click on it. Let's have that talk. And we can kind of explain to you a little bit more how that works on a passive front there. So Roundbox Equity, this is us. I talked a little bit about myself. We have actually have a 15-year-old, a 3-year-old. I need to redo this, and I just had a new baby 3 weeks ago yesterday. So little Parker was born. Luckily, he's doing great. Mom's doing great. So. But I've been doing this. I'm an owner operator of these homes since 2017. I started in 2016, took over my first facility in 2017, and have been doing that ever since. Also consult with the Residential Assisted Living Academy. A lot of you guys are, I'm sure, familiar with that. So I've been very fortunate to help hundreds of students go through the process, and they're very successful now. You guys probably all know Mr. Gene Garino, just a wonderful partner and friend of mine, and Mr. Kevin Hogg. We're going to hear from him just a little while, and we'll be taking some questions. He has a great background in law enforcement. He left that after an injury on the job, ended up actually going into the corporate world. So he was an anti-money laundering fraud investigator for JP Morgan Chase and Bank of America, had a large team of investigators under him. And I feel like with the team that we have put together, this is the dream team. If you're going to invest in something, especially in a niche market like this, these are the best people in this country that you could possibly partner with and invest to do that, or to partner with and build a new home. When we partner with somebody, we bring every resource that we have through all the years of networking and to you and to that team to make sure that those projects are successful. So, our mission is to serve more with giving investors a unique opportunity to partner with us, right? So we consider When you're investing, we're investing along beside you. So it's the same thing there. And look, this is so true, right? So it's like a sunrise. Opportunities. This morning, I got up, I was in the hot tub, and I was thinking about this about doing this afternoon. And I always get up early, and I saw it, and that sunrise was coming up, and I had a email came up, and I read it, and I glanced back up, and the sun was up above the trees, and I'm like, God, I literally just wrote that on the slide, and now it just happened to me. It takes a millisecond, guys. If you don't recognize this right now, you don't pay attention, something else there's a new shiny penny around the corner, you're gonna miss this thing. You wait, you're gonna miss. You don't want to do that. This is the opportunity of our lifetimes, and I believe the best opportunity in real estate. So with that, like I said, that's everything I wanted to share with you guys on this. So we would like to open it up for questions. If you have any questions about how any of that works, please put them in the chat box. And Molly, if you want to come back on, that's the end of my slides here.
Yeah, so that was great, guys. And I know many of you probably have questions that you want to ask them personally. So Roundbox Equity, or which one of you, Jamie, do you want me to just put Jamie at roundboxequity.com in the chat?
Yes, well, actually it's info
okay,
at roundboxequity.com. That's the best. It comes to both of us, so make sure that we get that. So info at roundboxequity.com.
Perfect, guys. I just put that in the chat. So info at roundboxequity.com. If you guys have specific questions to them, or you want to know about projects they have coming up, I'm sure they'd appreciate you reaching out here. Obviously, we have that link there that talks about opportunities that Jean talked about in that video up front. But otherwise, I don't think I have any questions coming in yet, you guys. If you have one, I would type it in right now, but it doesn't look like we're going to. So thank you so much for joining us tonight, guys. And I'm sure you'll hear from everybody on the back end, and then everyone else who sees this recording tomorrow. Oh, wait, hold on, one more. Oh, there's just somebody saying hi and that they appreciate your presentation. Thank you, awesome. Eric. What about, do you have any investment opportunities you can talk about right now, or would you rather them reach out to you directly?
Actually, we just closed out one a couple of weeks ago, so that one is fully subscribed. We do have a couple of new deals that are about to come up. Definitely want to reach out so we can qualify you right now. These are for accredited investors only right now. But you need to get in there and get on the list because they go really quickly. So the last one we did, the raise was 1.7 million. We launched it 2 days, I think, before Christmas, and it closed out in like a week and a half, and that was a Christmas and New Year's week. So had it not been the holiday, I think it would have probably been about 3 or 4 days, but people just took a little bit longer to make appointments that week. So, if there's something you're interested in, you definitely want to get on that list so you get so that you're made aware of it as soon as they come up. Because like I said, guys, there's a lot of people moving out of these other sectors, multifamily, different kinds of real estate, because they realize this is a place to be. Even in a economic downturn like what we've seen, assisted living is going through the roof. So that it's just going to continue to go that direction. There's no indication that that's going to be ending anytime soon. So I would highly recommend that you reach out to us. Let's have that conversation one-on-one, and then we can share that information with you.
And just a little sneak peek on that previous one that you guys did, you funded that pretty quickly, right? The second you guys put that opportunity out there, how quickly did you guys have that full?
It was completely subscribed. Like I said, we set it out a couple of days before Christmas, and it was completely subscribed within about a week and a half. And it was 1.7. We actually had I think we had 5 investors waiting to get in if anybody did not come through, but everybody did. We have really great investors. But so yeah, it went really quickly. Normally you're probably not going to have but a few days to a week once these come out. So like I said, if you're in the system, we do weekly updates. So myself or Kevin, we put out our thoughts and just things that's going on in the industry and the economy. So we like to keep all of our investors well educated and updated on exactly what's going on. We're all about communication. Obviously, with Kevin's background and the things that Gene and I do and have done, communication is key, right? So being very compliant, we always want to keep everything 100% compliant and always 100% crystal clear. So transparency and communication is very important to us at Roundbox. So being part of that, being part of that conversation, like I said, I encourage you, give us a call, go on the website, email us directly. Let's set up a time here next week and just have the conversation, see if it's something that'll work for you. It can kind of give you an example of what they may be, some of the deals coming up. But like I said, we have 2 deals. There's one in Arizona, one in Houston, and we have several more in the pipeline that'll be coming out. Our goal for this year is to do basically to do 1 deal a month. So if you want to be part of that audience and be able to take advantage of those when they come up, you have to be in the system to be able to get them, because we can't just blast them out to everybody. But we, like I said, we're not going to send you a bunch of junk or share your information or anything like that. We just want to be sure that you're a real person, you're not a robot or something like that. And so get in there, get vetted out, make sure that you're going to be appropriate for the investment. And yeah, we'll definitely share that with you as soon as it's available.
Yeah, and Jamie, if I could jump in on that too, with the next raise we're looking at in the Phoenix one, because with Molly's question is how fast it closed out, the next one's going to be slightly smaller than the first one was, not by much. We've already had commitments from 2 of the investors that were in our first deal that said that they want to be in on the next one as well. So yeah, I would say that is something we definitely want to get involved. We're probably going to have that one once we put it out. I think probably less than a week we'll have that closed out.
All right, a couple more questions that came in, guys. One of the questions says, you guys are also able to fund deals for operators wanting to buy an RAL, right?
That is correct. Yeah. So we're not a lender. So just to be very clear here, so we're not lending funds. We're not a bank or nothing like that. Now, what we can do is we can definitely strengthen your story. So if you're going to raising capital for a project like this, you've got to tell a really beautiful story. Okay. So whether you're doing that to a bank, you're doing that with investors, what we're able to do is, if the project makes sense, so I would encourage you to come to the website, shoot us an email, let's take a look at it with you. So you've got the home, it's under contract, you've got your approvals, you just need funding now, right? You need to push this thing over the finish line. You share it with us. If it works for all of us, we can then partner with you in the deal. So that means we are an equity percentage in the deal along beside you. And part of that is overseeing it to be sure that it's successful. So that's through your construction phase. We've, all of us here on the team have a lot of real estate experience, as well as in the side of this business marketing. One thing that's incredibly important is that when you open that facility, you've got to put heads in beds, because if not, the thing goes under. You can't maintain very long without any money coming in. So when we're on board, all of our resources now become your resources. We're all pushing in the same direction. We're going to get that thing done and make sure it's successful. So yes, that is one of the problems that we solve at Roundbox is helping those people, those sponsors, those deals come to reality. So you're able to kind of leverage our credibility, our knowledge and know-how and experience for yourself. We're able to become part of the same team and work together. So yes, we are able to work with those sponsors as well.
All right, and next question says, what is the minimum amount we need to invest in your deals?
Each deal is going to be a little bit different. So it just kind of depends on the size of the deal. I would say overall, the minimum investment is normally going to be around $50,000. We like to incentivize people to invest at a higher level than that. So normally $150,000 to $200,000 is kind of the norm. And we're going to incentivize that by higher prefs and things like that. That kind of gets very deal specific, but the minimums are normally at about $50,000. If we have a big deal coming up on the horizon, it's probably going to be $100,000 minimum, just because we don't want to have 80 different investors in one deal. It just becomes on our end, it becomes very laborious to try to keep up with that many different accounts on one deal. So But like I said, it's usually the minimum 50. We encourage people at 150 plus.
Perfect, guys. Well, that was the last question of the evening, but you guys did an awesome job. I look forward to the projects that you guys help with and seeing those come and finalize. So thank you, and I will see you at the next one.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Miley.